Hello, welcome back to the latest episode of Have You Seen with Nick
and Lance.
So, this week was my turn, and I had asked if you had seen National Treasure.
And I said no.
Yeah, so it was a perfect opportunity to make Lance watch National Treasure, because that movie is a national treasure.
Okay. Sure.
So, what'd you think of it?
It was good.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't as amazing as like
It's a caveat good. So it's good, but for these particular,
it was good, but like when the response normally is when people say, "Have you seen National Treasure?" and I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Oh my god."
yeah, it's not necessarily that.
Yeah.
It's dumb, and it's fun.
Yes.
So it is some dumb fun, I think.
Yes, it was big dumb fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was disappointing in points.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as I saw Sean Bean, I'm like, oh, he dead. But I think this is one of two movies that I can say that, well, that might be a spoiler. So, we'll talk about it later. But anyways.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got Sean Bean, we got Nic Cage, John Voight.
Diane Kruger.
So I wasn't as familiar with her. And the guy that played, what was the kid's name? Rory?
Yeah, Rory was played by, it's Riley. He was played by Justin Bartha.
Yeah, it's people I'm not as familiar with everyone. Harvey Korman, right?
Harvey Keitel.
Keitel, that's it.
Yeah, Winston Wolfe. You had Christopher Plummer, and other notable names. So Amber pointed out that there's a guy in there. His name is Mike Pellegrino. Apparently he played a character...
Lucifer in Supernatural?
Yes, apparently he's Lucifer in
and
Supernatural.
he actually had a speaking line in this movie. So we're just kind of watching with Amber, and she's like, hey, that's this person. I'm like, I've never seen that show.
Yeah,
so.
she's like, that's Lucifer. I was like, all right, hush and keep watching the movie. And she's like, no, that's Lucifer. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but she was right. After she pointed it out, I was like, okay, yeah, I do remember seeing that guy. It had Eric King in it, which was the one that really made me happy because the first time he shows up, so he played Dokes in Dexter. And he's the surprise, motherfucker. He's that guy. And some fries, motherfucker. Heart eyes, motherfucker. Anyways, when he showed up, it made me so happy because like the instant he walked into the frame and like talked for the first time.
Were you surprised, motherfucker?
And I even said it. I remember saying, I was like, surprise, motherfucker. Hey, it's Dokes. But that made me so happy seeing him because I haven't seen him in anything past Dexter. I was like, man, I'm so glad he's working.
Well, I think this was pre-Dexter.
I think so too. But
This is like 2004?
But National Treasure opened the door for him to be Dokes. So, maybe. I don't know. But, and the director of the movie is John Turteltaub. So
I'm not familiar with
off the top of my head, I can't name anything else he did. So apparently he did Cool Runnings, While You Were Sleeping. There's a movie. Hey, Nick, have you ever seen While You Were Sleeping?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. We're not going to.
Probably not.
Ooh, Rush Hour.
Rush Hour is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Again, not like good, but like dumb fun. Maybe he makes dumb fun movies. And
yeah,
I think that's an okay place to be.
Well, I mean, the world needs dumb fun movies.
They do.
So
The sort of stuff where you just sit down and watch it and like, this is stupid, but there's stuff going on. It's kind of fun to watch, and there's always some shenanigans going on, and maybe the shenanigans don't make the most of sentences, but you're just along with it.
Well, the thing that makes me upset about today, like this day and age, is that there seems to be no room for dumb fun movies unless it's fucking Fast and the Furious. Because those movies are super popular. They're like on Fast and Furious 14 now or something like that. I don't know. But like everything else, if it tries to do a little bit of dumb fun, people are just like, bridges don't blow up that way. It's like, show me your fucking engineering degree and fucking bridge making, asshole.
But then everyone's got a Twitter, so they will show you their engineering degree. And
it's like people can't relax and just watch a movie now. It's like the thing that really concerns me about this day and age, and I don't mean to get up on my fucking soapbox here, but the thing that concerns me is that you have artists trying to make movies that, yes, there's a lot of shameless money grabs out there, but then, it seems like we can't be happy with anything that's produced these days. We can't just relax and like just accept the director's vision for what it is.
Yeah, well, nowadays it seems hard for directors to get their visions even made because studios want money, and if you're going to put out a movie, it's got to be a blockbuster, and it's not enough for a movie just to sit on its own. You got to put sequel bait in there,
Yeah,
and start like seeding it. So now your dumb fun movies have world building and cinematic universes and all that kind of stuff being built into it. Because I've never seen like the Mummy. But it was billed as kind of like, here's Tom Cruise in The Mummy, and next we're going to be having isn't Dr. Jekyll in that movie, and because he needs to be in this movie because we're going to spin this movie off into a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie with Russell Crowe and all this. Like, just let it be a stupid Mummy movie, and then if it does well, have laid out the seeds for where it could potentially go in the future, and just connect them if you want. But I mean, for the most part, make a movie first.
So to be fair, Amber and I enjoyed that movie.
Sure, I've not seen it, but I've heard like mixed messages of it, I suppose.
So it was supposed to be Universal's flagship movie to like kick off the new monster universe, their new dark universe or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good, but again, people couldn't help but fucking start dunking on it to the point where they broke the fucking backboard, and now we're not going to get any of those movies. So, whatever. I mean, that's fine if that's the direction that we're going in. But like, I like it when studios, and I'm not on the studio's side. Like,
no one is really.
No, there's super abusive practices. Like, there's a lot of shit that happens, but Daddy needs his video games, but and I'm not.
Daddy needs movies,
and I'm not there in the fucking HR office to like punish these people.
Yeah.
I get back at them by watching it on pirated stuff, so nobody's getting paid. Not really. But
let's just watch it on a streaming service. Like, what are they going to do? Get a half a penny?
Yeah, I mean, have your half penny and be happy. But
yeah,
it's. I like when studios, like, the one thing that you pissed off Amber, like, hugely, and I know that we're getting off at a tangent, and we haven't even rated the movie yet, but
yes.
I do like it whenever people went after Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda. I played the game.
It was whatever.
It was okay, but I didn't need the continuing story of Shepard. He did his story. It's time to move on to a new thing. I don't want to read the same fucking book with the same protagonist, over and over and over again, because it gets stale. And people dunked on that fucking game so hard where finally,
it just canceled.
Yeah, BioWare, EA, I think, were just like, fuck it, we're not putting out any of the stuff.
No DLC.
Yeah, but it's like we still didn't learn anything by that because it's, I guess, people...
So Anthem got dunked on too, and all that stuff got canceled too?
From what I heard, Anthem was just bad from, like, Jump Street, though.
I'm sure, but still, it involves... Like, don't even fix your thing. Like, just stop it.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is not necessarily great either. I mean, even No Man's Sky had a chance to come back from being a piece of shit.
Well, I played that one, but I know that was one that Joe was, like, fucking super amped about.
Yep.
And then, like, once he got it, he was like, yeah, it's like I'm flying around by myself in space.
Yeah, and that's not what that was billed to be.
Yeah.
Which was they bought into the hype. And
Yeah.
the hype didn't deliver.
You find your planet, you fucking terraform it.
Well, you're supposed to be able to like get coordinates and be like, that's this planet, and you could come and see this planet. And this world this universe is so big that there are other people here, but you're never going to run into them. But the fact that you can get coordinates and be like, okay, let's just go, and never meet up with anyone. And I think at one point in time, Joe said he pointed himself at the center of the universe and just like flew towards something, and like it never got any bigger or any like he made no progress. It was just a backdrop. Or something. But I guess it's just don't like the hype will let you down.
It's also impatience. Like the other thing I noticed was people get impatient waiting for games. So what was the one that just recently came out where like everybody seriously shit on it? Oh, Cyberpunk. So I had no problems with Cyberpunk because I guess Amber and I allotted enough time to where they pushed through enough patches to where I didn't see as many of the problems. I mean, I saw people like doing the whole Flappy Bird thing flying through the air, but that doesn't, that didn't really take me out of the game, so to speak. But,
And I played it on PC when it came out, which was the, I guess the system for which it was optimized and thus had the least amount of issues. And I played through it and it was fine. It just wasn't what was promised, which is disappointing.
Well, we played it on the PS4, and I mean, other than PS4 constantly taking a shit, and like just dropping the game. That was annoying, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just annoying. It's basically the real world equivalent of someone taking a bathroom break, like playing an RPG. You know, it's not a big deal. It sucks, but
Games nowadays tend to do enough autosaves that it's not completely detrimental. But still, it's not a good thing.
yeah, no, don't. I mean, it's. I think it's just So Cyberpunk has no excuse. From what I know, that game had been in development for like 8 years.
It had been a long time. I remember like the first, like we were shown like here's the trailer of this, and then enough time had passed where like I completely and utterly forgotten about it, and then it started getting talked about again with like new stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a game, wasn't it? I totally forgot about that game existed like half a decade ago or whatever it was.
Right. V sitting off to the side with Duke Nukem, be like, so your game's been put on permanent hiatus too? You know it, babe. But, yes.
So I guess that goes to with the National Treasure hyped in your mind.
Yes.
Okay.
So, National Treasure was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite Nic Cage movie.
He toned it back a lot in this movie. You got like 2 instances of him like turning the cage up, but for the most part, he was just like playing a role, which is very rare when it comes to Nic Cage, where he's just like being an actor and not like being weird about it.
You got your A, you got your B, you got your C, you got your it was very subdued. But it did surface, and I think when you and I were watching it together, every now and then it would come, and I'd be like,
"Ah, there's the cage."
Yeah, if I was to give this a rating of 0 to 10,
yeah,
I'd say it's a 6.
That's about where I'm at too. Whereas it's a little bit better than average, and I think when you sit down with friends or just kind of, you're gonna get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
All in all, you could poke holes in it all day long.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that it was the reaction. It's almost like, hey man, have you ever had spaghetti? I've never had spaghetti. Oh my god,
spaghetti!
You got to try spaghetti. It's so good. Like it's just it works up the shadow, and then when you actually watch it, and you're just like, I've seen better. It kind of takes some of the shine off of it, but.
And if we're telling each other what we think of these movies before, and that's about what I would have given you too, is it's fine, it's fun-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one and done for me. I mean,
I still go back and watch on occasion.
Really?
Just because like when you're in a mood for like, I want to put in a movie, like I want to sit down and watch something and maybe like do a little bit of reading or something on the side, and I don't want to have to think too hard about what's going on. Just put that movie on the background. It's a good not think too hard about it movie.
Yeah, I mean.
And it might be a good young person's entry into these kind of mystery movies. Maybe I'll show it to Jack one day when it's like, here's just a thing that's super kind of easy to follow along with, because it's not like they're making huge leaps of logic, and they're kind of going over like bits of history a little bit. I don't know how much of it's accurate, but
I doubt any of it is accurate.
Sure, some of it's got to be accurate.
There's just so like
pieces.
I don't know, like the founding fathers were just like, okay, go with me on this. Invisible ink on this thing, which leads over to this thing, which has the needle on the spire. Like I remember pointing out the one thing where it's like the needle on the spire of this thing at 2:00 on this particular time, like would shine in the place. And then they were like, oh, duh, daylight savings time. That wasn't a thing back then, so we have to account for this. And then like I remember when the needle was pointing at the exact brick on this fucking church, I was like, so would it matter like what time of the season it is because the sun's in different areas? And you were like, yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. So like even if it would have been like where he would have went to the brick and been like, oh.
But also as long as it was close, because that was the one brick that was stamped with a Mason seal. Yeah. So if it was like pointed like over here, but the brick was like right here, you could be like, I don't see. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, but that's just me dunking on it. It did not take me out of it or anything like that, because you can't account for fucking everything. Otherwise, you'd have an hour and a half movie turned into like 2.5 hours because they're explaining the fucking science of everything.
And plus, it's kind of fun to imagine like the sun hitting the needle of one of the national monuments, pointing to a brick, and then you can, at the certain time of the day that's on this piece of money, you go there and there it is. There's the secret. It's a fun idea.
It is, but it's like. To me, the movie was a God, what's it called? Scavenger hunt. Mm-hmm. You know, you go from point A to point B.
Yeah, kind of like the Da Vinci Code movie, or I don't know if there's other movies that kind of go like this, where you as an audience member can't really predict where they're going because you don't get the clue until they get the next clue, and then they kind of make some stupid leap of logic to get to the next point. Where in this one they had to decode something. Well, you're not going to know what the code is until they go and decode it. So you're not going to be able to predict it.
I believe it was James Rotel who made the Rotel Chili Bean Factory that was made in Santa Monica. Santa Monica used to be over a fault line of this particular church. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the leaps of logic are crazy, but like it's like you said, it's big dumb fun.
Yeah, they go to a location, some sort of chicanery happens, and maybe they win that particular instance, maybe they don't, and it kind of seems like the sort of dumb stuff we'd get up to like in a spycraft game or something like that, where like we're in a chase with another group and we need to solve all the clues before the group can get to it first, and we show up to location. Of course the other group's going to be there because otherwise why the hell are you playing?
Yeah.
So we're in a competition. Oh, we got the stuff and blew up the boat, but we went into the smugglers thing, and therefore we're fine. The explosion didn't hurt us because we were in the smugglers compartment.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just I can't remember the scene exactly, but it's like, we're in the right place, but I don't understand why we're not finding the... Wait a minute. 100 years ago, didn't this building used to be like a mortuary? So they wouldn't have actually put the torch over there. The torch would have been over here. But you're... Oh. Like, it's...
Yeah, they got to where they thought the treasure was going to be, but it wasn't here.
And the other thing that bothered me was, like, you had Sean Bean who hired this guy because of his expertise. Mm-hmm. And, like, for some reason, that dude was hot on his heels the entire time. And, like, I get it. He was doing, like, the, you know, showing up. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time when this guy was drifting through or whatever. But, like, you know, that guy was a fucking hammer where Nic Cage was a scalpel, you know. So we've given our rating.
Yeah, so shall we start talking a bit more in depth about the movie?
Yes.
So, if someone was to ask you, like, hey, I've got a free day. Should I, like, National Treasure, I've been thinking about watching this movie. Should I watch it? What would you tell them?
I'd say, well, I have Shaun of the Dead. We could watch that instead.
Well, they're on the phone. They're just like, they call you. Or they text you or something like that. You're not there to watch the movie with them. They're going to watch the movie, not you with them.
Oh, well, in that case...
And they're just wondering if, like, oh, I've heard about National Treasure. Is this a movie that I should watch?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I wouldn't have given it a 6 if you and I weren't watching it together.
I could say that.
Because you, Amber, and myself, we were having a really good time, like, you know.
And then Tim showed up about midway through the movie, I think.
And then we were ripping on it pretty good.
Yeah, just having fun with it.
Yeah, and since Tim showed up, I invited him to this recording, but he couldn't be here tonight, so...
He'll have to join us one of these days.
Oh, God, yes, please. Because he's hilarious. But, yeah, you've been warned. At this point, we're going into spoiler territory.
Yeah, you've got our recommendations to, maybe check it out. Why not?
But, like, get a buddy. Like,
go watch it with a friend.
Yeah, go over, bring your PlayStation and a 6-pack of Natty Light and a copy of National Treasure. For some Nic Cage light. Yes.
If you want to get someone to watch some other crazier Nic Cage movies, this might be the entry point. Get the little crazy, and then show him some of the bigger crazy lady.
And then go straight into...
Then get some Ghost Rider on him.
Or some Face Off, yeah. Oh, man, he is, like, super... I want to take his face off.
All right, so...
No more drugs for that man. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit more in depth about the movie. So, spoilers for a 20-ish-year-old movie. You gotta be careful.
I swear to God, if anybody writes a comment, I watched into this movie around the 20-minute mark, and y'all said something that ruined the movie. Seriously, beat it. Yeah, the movie's 20 years old.
All right, so you're going to start with the Sean Bean aspect of it.
Yes, so I've always had fun with Sean Bean because he's literally, like, the second you see him in any movie, it's like, oh, that fucking dead. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 movies I can think of off the top of my head that I know he didn't die in, and that was Silent Hill.
Okay.
I think it was called The Martian.
Yep, he was in that one.
And then this movie now.
Okay.
So he's survived those 3 movies. Now, I looked at his film repertoire, and he's got a lot of fucking movies. And as far as I know, he is still on top in Hollywood as the guy who gets aced in every movie.
Well, I think it's in his contract now that he's done getting killed in movies, because at this point in time, it's cliche and predictable. So he's like, I just don't... If I get killed in it, it's not fun for me, the audience, anymore.
It's always been fun for me. It literally, you're just sitting there like, how is he going to get, arrow to the chest?
You got Boromir.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, one does not simply take one arrow to the chest and kill over and die. Oh, there's the second and third one. But yeah, as soon as I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh, he did. Mm-hmm. And I was just waiting for it.
You even paused and looked at me like, I saw this video that was going through all the movies that Sean Bean didn't die, and this one wasn't on it. So I know that Sean Bean's going to die, and I'm like, man, you got me.
Yeah, and you didn't say anything, so the entire time I'm waiting, I'm just sitting there waiting. But like, the other thing that got me was these dudes are like throwing grenades, shooting guns in like crowded streets. No one's fucking dying.
No.
Like no one. This is literally like it's G.I. Joe and Cobra. They're firing all this ammo. No one's getting hurt. No one's dying. So it was kind of like it dawned on me halfway through. I was like, no one's getting hit. And then finally I was like,
this isn't a movie where people get shot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't know it was Disney.
Okay. Well, watch it on Disney Plus. We even pulled up Disney Plus and like, let's click on down National Treasure.
See, I didn't even make the connection at that point. I mean, you're also talking to a guy that recently watched Tarzan on Disney, the animated one.
Okay.
And you see a dude's shadow who gets hung.
Mm-hmm.
So
like Disney movies used to be a lot more brutal than they seem to want to be nowadays, which is too bad. It's I've been watching Gargoyles, and there's like blood and stuff, and like people dying and stuff. It's cool.
I don't know. This country's going in all the wrong directions.
Said every older generation ever.
Yeah, well, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm the quiet generation that just sits back and goes, "That's not right there." I'm not going to do anything about it, but that's not right.
Man, this place is going bad. Oh well, back to my video game.
Yeah,
back to my coping mechanism.
Yeah, basically. But. Yeah, I just kept waiting for it. I'm like, oh, he's going to die. He's going to die soon. And then, like, you get to the end of the movie.
They were in that big hollow pit, and then, like, a couple people fell down. And you're like, oh, is this where
Here
it's
it comes.
Is this where it's going to happen?
Is he gonna fall? Okay. And no, he lived. I was just like, okay, thanks for letting me down. And then, like, I even remember, I don't think I'd said anything to you, but, like, the credits start rolling. I'm like, is there a post-credit screen where he, like, falls off a building or something?
No, you didn't say that.
Because it's got to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie was highly enjoyable. I'll tell you the parts that I really dug.
Okay.
So, I am not crazy about the whole cliche of this family got mocked, and we've been and this thing has been
where the disgraced treasure hunters or whatever.
Like you have that curse that hangs over your head, but then you have that one person that believes. I believe, and like they finally like figure out the thing. I used to really like John Voight, and I'm not trying to be political, but he's lost a lot of credibility in my eyes lately.
I don't keep up with celebrities because I don't really give a shit.
Which, I like celebrities. I love it when you guys, like fucking celebrities watching this. I love it when celebrities go out and do their thing. Whenever I go to Dragon Con, I always like to walk by him and just give him a fucking fist bump and be like, thanks for entertaining me, man. I'm glad you got a paycheck for like acting like a guy. But it's I don't want to know their political stances and anything like that, because to me it's just trying to control the masses through their...
The more I've learned about actors, the less effective they are, because how often have we called him Sean Bean? Do you remember his character's name? Nope.
Percival.
No. And it's not necessarily that it's his fault. It's just that you've seen him in so many things that he's Sean Bean.
Right.
And that, do you remember Nic Cage's name?
Yes. Gates.
That's right.
Something Gates.
Benjamin Franklin Gates.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Sure.
So... I find it the more I pay. You didn't catch that.
I did not catch that. Like that. It's honestly, I'd just been like, and then like walked off if I'd have known that. But okay.
the more I know about actors, I tend to stop looking at the character they portray and look at them as the actor that they are.
Mm.
Like, I'd never seen the actor who played Riley, but he's Riley to me in this movie.
Yeah.
The girl was Chase. I think it was Victoria Chase or something like that.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
like, she was more that character just because I'm not particularly familiar with that actress. Nic Cage, familiar with him. John Voight, familiar with him. Like, all these people I'm familiar with. They don't like get lost in the role through no fault of their own.
Mm. It's that familiarity.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know if it's a curse of being a megastar or whatever. But just being that recognizable face is that I'm never going to not look at like Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's like ice cream when you eat ice cream. Like if someone just gave you a bowl of nondescript ice cream, just like enjoy, and you start eating it, you're like, it's kind of tastes like Ben and Jerry's. I mean, it's just there are certain things that will pop into your head.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are associated with certain things.
Yeah,
so
certain mannerisms or whatever. Kind of like you started watching this movie expecting a character to die just because of who the actor was, and that expectation wouldn't have been there if it was played by someone else.
Well, it's I don't know. Like maybe that's wrong of me to do, but especially since the entire time, like I'm watching the movie and like he's running, he's got the thing. Okay, he wants to keep this away, and then like Sean Bean would come on screen, and I'd be like,
here it is.
Oh.
But it's stuff that you can't stop because I mean it's the way you think, and you can't really stop the shit you think. You can just stop how it makes you act and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How you react to what you think.
Well, don't get me wrong. It's not like I was watching the movie like, oh, this is an 8. There's a solid, explosion there, 9. Oh, man, this is 9. And then Sean Bean did 9. I was like, fuck this movie. It's a 6.
I just mean, like, you watch these movies, they're the actor, not necessarily the character.
Yeah.
And maybe some actors are better at disappearing into the role. And if you watching this can lose it, like, and buy into the fantasy of it, that's awesome. I can't.
Can you name one actor that like when you see them, like certain mannerisms and stuff doesn't come? Like I can name one that I think is like, actually I can name 2 that I think
people who disappear that you don't see their mannerisms.
Yes.
It is Paul Giamatti. And
I love Paul Giamatti, so I love this guy for actually bringing that one up.
And I'm gonna forget his name. The guy in Zurg in Fifth Element.
So that's Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, that's the one.
So that was one of the ones I was going to bring up too, because
those are the 2.
Yeah, I will see your Gary Oldman and Paul Giamatti.
Okay.
And I will raise you. Well, I don't necessarily know if I want to go out. No, Anthony Hopkins. He's really good.
I just don't think I see enough with him in it.
Well, he mainly shows up as Anthony Hopkins in most of the stuff, and he has the accent and everything like that. But like, this guy played Van Helsing. This guy, like in Westworld, he's awesome.
I've not seen Westworld.
And he, he's not really in it a lot, but like, he's an actor that like emotes. Like he gives really good face when he's talking. Like whenever somebody asks him a question, you can actually see like he doesn't say anything, but you could see like 5 different emotions run through his face. Is like he's amused at the question, then he's pissed that they asked the question.
Oh man, that Anthony Hopkins, he gives good face.
Yeah, he does. He really does. Like he's awesome.
This is just weird phrasing to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's more powerful to me when you have 2 characters talking to each other and like somebody says something to the other guy and you can already see their response like cross their face or in their eyes before they even answer. It's a lot of people will deliver a line with like the same dumb face, and it's like they're not thinking about how their character would react to this. And also not an actor, not a coach, not a director, none of that. I just know what I like to see in movies. To me, it's tiny details that make a good movie just amazing. But yeah, it's Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage. And I guess the joke has come full circle because now they're making a movie where Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be him and the guy who's playing the Moon Knight.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about. Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. And I think like literally the movie is just Oscar Isaac running around with Nicolas Cage.
Okay, sure.
So it's come full circle. Now, all that said, I think Nicolas Cage is a great actor.
Yes.
From what I heard back in the 90s, I think he got caught up in a Ponzi scheme where he lost all of his money. So I think it's literally...
It was he'd bought up a bunch of stuff and ended up having to resell it all, I think, to kind of... So he ended up losing a lot of his money. Because I think he was buying, like, weird shit.
I think he had, like, a T-Rex head.
Yeah, he had a T-Rex bone of some sort, and I think he had to sell it.
And I think he had, like, a house that was, like, on an island or some shit like that. I don't know.
I'm not sure what's true with that particular thing or not, but it's stuff I have also heard.
Yeah, so it
came to the point where he was just like, a movie? Yeah, sure. This much money? Sure. Let's do it.
The thing that makes me laugh is that a lot of times people look at movie stars and they're just like, oh my God, like this person's larger than life. Mm-hmm. I love it when you see an interview where they're like, so you were in this movie. Why'd you pick this role? And the guy was like, well, I looked at the paycheck and I thought I could use a new couch.
It was Michael Kane, like, so why'd you appear in Jaws 3D or whatever movie it was? And he's like, I needed a new house.
Yeah. I like that. Like, I don't like it when people act like they're doing it for the people.
But some people do that. Some people are in it for the money, and I think both are valid. If you're making movies because you love the art, go for it. If you're making movies because you're good at it and you want the money, go for it.
Oh, I mean, everything is driven by money.
Sure.
I am not saying, like, people who do a certain thing just because of money is bad. I wish to God somebody would drop a fat wad of cash on me to do something, and I'd be here pimping the shit out of it.
If people are paying you to do something you already love, I mean, that's great. If you can monetize what you like and still manage to put out good product, go for it.
I think it was you that even said, oh, that is wrong, IMDb. There's more than 10 movies in fucking Nic Cage's repertoire. Okay, there it is. It was just slow loading. I think it was even you that said if you have a hobby, the second you start getting paid, it becomes a job.
Yes.
But it still can be work that you love doing.
Yeah, you can be passionate about your work and not even like your work,
mm-hmm.
and you can be passionate about something that you love, turn it into work, and then stop enjoying it because then you're not doing it for fun anymore. But it's still possible to do what you love and make money off it and still love it.
Yeah.
It's just that thing you have to be kind of cautious about. Like if we turn D&D or something like that into a job. Now I'm not running games for me, I'm running games for an audience, and you have to think about like all the other stuff, and sometimes running D&D already feels like a thing that you have to go through. I mean, that's what DM burnout is about.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't feel like you should have to structure your game for an audience. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like you should run it the way that you want to run it, and that the audience that we want and mm-hmm. deserve will gravitate towards what we put out.
To a degree. I mean, that's also why you're going to have like people like Critical Role take off, because it's a bunch of actors, like voice actors, and they're putting on a show, and more than just putting on a game.
Hmm.
So I think that you get that particular draw in with stuff like that versus others. So
no,
make your hobby a job and be amazing at it.
God, it's like I've watched a lot of Critical Role.
I've watched barely any.
Amber is just like, she's obsessed with it now. She hated it because of one particular character in the show.
But he left.
That had... Well, it wasn't that... Like, one of the characters had a gimmick that she couldn't stand.
Okay.
And that, to her, is just bad role-playing. Now, everything in role-playing doesn't have to be super serious.
Yeah.
But, like, when you could tell that the person playing it isn't even really kind of, like, into it, then it kind of ruins the immersion for other people.
It does for me, because I remember watching like a thing with a person came in and he was like essentially the Fonz. Everyone else had like a character, and he was essentially playing a fantasy version.
You're talking about Chris Hardwick?
I wasn't going to say his name, but yes.
Well, we like Chris Hardwick.
I do like Chris Hardwick, and like the fact that all the things he talked about, like all this nerdy stuff. I'm like, and he's going to be in an episode, like a 2-episode part of a one shot. I'm like, man, I really want to see what kind of character he makes. And he made the Fonz, and I'm like, never mind.
Hey, it's just sure. What you put together, you think is funny, but like
if everyone's into it, it's fine. I'm not into it. So,
and it's the same with me. It's like, Amber was watching a lot of the Roll20 stuff, and there's characters that I loved,
mm-hmm.
but then there are other characters that are like super cliche,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, I don't expect you to reinvent the wheel with every character you make, but there are certain things that like that horse has been beat to fucking death.
Yeah.
Just think of something else. Like, the one thing that I remember back in the day when we were playing Star Wars Galaxies, like, everyone had their little backstories on their character bios, and every single one of them was, my family was killed by Imperials, or my family was killed by rebels. I wish you would have been in the house with them. You know? Like, it's just buy a fucking original idea. But that's neither here nor there. Sorry. I'm super tangenty tonight. I'm so sorry. But
speaking of original ideas, we have to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence. Yeah, it was. I mean, now that you say it, I don't think I can think of another movie where it's like it was a heist movie to steal something that was. I mean,
it's like a national treasure.
Well, Indiana Jones, I guess, comes a little close.
But he was stealing other people's national treasures.
Yeah, but he was putting them in a museum.
Yeah, not in their country.
Yeah, okay. You got me on that one. I mean, Americans never really exactly think too much about, where it goes.
This South American treasure belongs in North America and the United States, where we can look at it.
Don't worry, those tribe people can come to our country and look at their own stuff. I mean, at least in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he put the skull back.
I didn't watch that movie for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well.
I mean, that movie is so good, it came up with nuking the fridge.
And see, that's where I sit there and I harp on the whole thing about just let it go and just watch a movie. The two movies that broke me of that, of like, suspend that bridge of reality, of disbelief, and just go with it. The two movies that broke me of that was fucking Zero the Hutt.
Okay.
Where I was just like, can't do it.
The Clone Wars cartoon that came out in theaters.
I had to tap out on that, and fucking the first time, like, he jumped into the fridge, I was like, what's that gonna do? And then it, like, shoots a mile or something, and it lands so hard that inertia would have turned him into a fucking frappe.
He was in this fridge, though, so he's fine.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he was bracing.
No, he's fine. He's in a fridge.
Yeah, but like
that stops, like, kind of like Iron Man wearing the suit. Like, now he's in the suit and he drops huge distances and lands. Like, dude, your knees are busted. I don't care if you're in an iron suit, but he's in an iron suit. He's fine.
So, I have a theory about that, but I won't go into it here.
It's just kind of like Iron Man gets punched by, like, the Hulk. Great. Enjoy your concussion. Your armor didn't buckle, but you're dead.
Yeah, okay. He wouldn't have that excuse in like the Mark II, but like the Hulkbuster, he would have that excuse because it's so big. I would imagine it's got like this endoskeleton inside that like moves around.
Even like in the Avengers when Thor was hitting him with a friggin' hammer. It's like, enjoy your concussion. It's like, I'm wearing armor. It just bounces right off me. Like, that's not how armor works, but enjoy it.
The AI basically, what happens as soon as the hammer comes towards them, the AI makes the mask flex forward, so there's not as much.
What happens is it's a superhero movie, and you're not supposed to think about that shit.
Yep, turn it off.
Yep, turn it off. Just watch the movie.
But I remember we had it was me, you, James, I think Amber, Shane. We were all basically sitting at the gaming table, and I remember we were talking about superhero physics. Mm-hmm. And, like, it started getting wacky because, like, DC started creeping in, then Marvel started creeping in, then, like, I think we talked about some of the Dark Horse properties, and it was like, we all realized with every single one of these properties, the algorithm changes. Mm-hmm. So we had to basically, like, drop that, because I think we were talking about, like, Marvel physics, and then it was like, well, but this character from DC, it's like, those people are gods.
Yeah.
What happens in Marvel 616 or otherwise...
it's kind of like being able to run fast in DC lets you go back in time. Not so much in Marvel.
No. Maybe
somewhere in some comic book, like Quicksilver's run back in time, but that's not really like... That's part of Flash's power set. It's not really part of Quicksilver's power set.
But see, the thing with me is that it seems like back in the day, Marvel was like, this guy can just do all kind of crazy shit and just keep selling comic books. They're like in the next, after 10 comic books, well, now he can do this thing. And it got ridiculous. And DC was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually Marvel went, you know what, these people are becoming a little ridiculous, so let's ease that shit back. Well, and then DC was like, fuck you, my guys are still like crazy fucking cool.
Well, I think that kind of started with Spider-Man or whatever, where it's like, this character's a kid. And then like his entire face was covered. So like, Spider-Man could be you. 10-year-old reading this comic book?
Sure. Well, Stan Lee, he knew how to sell comic books, man. Yeah. That man is... Uncle Stan's all right with me.
Yeah, I miss him just talking about shit.
There is nobody... There's 3 men that I could sit and listen to just listen to him talk all day.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley,
Mm-hmm.
George Lowe.
I don't think I know George Lowe.
Space Ghost.
Okay.
Uncle George. And then, and I know a lot of people don't think so anymore, but Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith. I love his stories. Here lately, ever since he became a dad, which is stupid because now I'm a dad, so I like all the dad stuff, but it's like he's toned shit way back. And like he's about to, I think they're working on Clerks 3, and I am fucking scared to death of what that movie's going to look like after watching Tusk and watching Yoga Hosers.
I've not seen any of those ones.
I'm frightened. I'm really scared. But whatever, to each their own, because I know there's a bunch of stoners that are like, man, Tusk was fucking awesome. No, that movie was just bad. There was only one good part, and it was the Fleetwood Mac part. So.
Hey, Nick, have you seen it?
No, it's that would literally be...
That is my... If either of us say, have you seen, the person has to watch it too.
Yes.
And that might put a kibosh on a lot of these movies.
Yes. But it'd be amusing to have you watch Tusk, because it was just there's so many levels of terrible, and there was no excuse for that movie to be as bad as it was. It had Justin Long, he's good. It had fucking Johnny Depp playing a character that was like, I honestly feel like Kevin was just like, who do you want to be? And he's like, I want to be a fucking French weirdo, and I want to Clouseau the shit out of it. And Kevin Smith's like, you know what, fuck it, just do it. Because it was ridiculous. But the part I liked best is when Nicolas Cage found the Declaration of Independence, brought it full circle. We're back.
For a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit. But yeah, it's the whole Declaration of Independence thing I thought was neat. The invisible ink thing.
Yeah.
That shit's been floating around as long as like magic has been in creation. So
yeah.
That was believable. But the holographic invisible ink I thought was a bit much, but
it was silly. But I like the stupid glasses, and you can look at it and it looks like one of those little magic eyes, kind of like flexing and weaving, and be like, oh look, you can look at the lenses and see like beneath the wall.
Yeah, but see, even then I wasn't like, he put on the glasses and he looked and he's like, oh, what does it mean? Oh, this phrase, and then like it had all these extra lenses on it, and I was like, is he gonna move some of that shit around, or
move some lenses? Look at it.
Yeah, and then he goes back and does it, and then he sees like the whole thing.
To be fair, I think they got interrupted. Like they were looking at it, and then like Ian was like, "Oh shit, Ian's coming,"
okay.
and then it's time to go. And it's like, okay, well, I'll take the glasses, you take the map, and we'll split up. So if they get one of us, they don't get everything.
Right, and then you had that whole scene like that to me kind of felt like filler, of like the girl running from the dude, and like the girl like, what's going on with you? And it's like, that's my ex-husband.
You're not supposed to be back here.
Yeah, and then it's like, I see why you left him. Hey, like that whole thing was just it felt like filler, but like.
You need some time with Chase.
Yeah, but and I'll tell you the one biggest problem I had in the movie.
Sure.
It starts out with the guy finding the boat, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like under the snow, and then they go down to it. You find like the cat that it got blown off course to this place. Everyone died. This captain basically died sitting on top of this fucking barrel. Blah. Mm-hmm. Okay, it had a very epic feel in the beginning of it. Like, this is going to be fun. Like, I felt like I felt like we were going to be watching like an Uncharted video game.
Just because of the explosion, essentially, that occurs. You're expecting a lot more explosions in this movie.
And then all of a sudden it turns into, okay, we're going to go through a museum. This dude's doing the whole James Bond, like mingling with people to get where he needs to go.
The subtle heist.
Yeah, and like I was fine with that, and then you were getting a little bit from the other side with Sean Bean's crew, where they were doing like the espionage, sneaking through. We're just going to shoot everyone in our fucking path because, like I said, Hammer.
Yeah.
But it's like it had this big workup in the beginning where you're like, oh, we're going to go to exotic locations, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then all it ended up being is like them basically running around America.
Yeah, it's national treasure. So I mean, they went to like DC and Philly.
Yes.
And at the end, they sent them somewhere. I can't remember where it was. So that was only like a snippet. Like, one if by land, two if by sea. It's in this location. I don't remember where that was.
Right.
But we didn't get a whole lot of... I guess, we went to New York too, right? Because of the ship.
I think that's where it ended.
Yeah, the Wall Street. So we went to three locations and then like one tiny location at the end.
And I'm sure that someone eventually maybe 5 years from now, we'll write down in the comments and be like, Wall Street wasn't even really technically invented back in the day when they... Like, I know there are probably going to be historical inaccuracies in that movie where people are just going to blow stuff apart. But I don't know them, so it's okay with me.
And also, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, you don't have to be a history fucking professor to watch this movie.
This movie's fiction. This movie's fiction. So when they start talking about national history, I'm generally under the assumption that maybe it had something in it that's true, but it's probably fiction too.
Sure, it's yeah.
When I watch fiction, and they start telling me facts about the universe, I'm not going to go with that into real life.
Well, I mean, how many times have you ever been sitting in the park eating a burger and all of a sudden some guy walks up in the background, he's like, "It's around here somewhere. The map told me that it's in this location." You're like, is this punked? What's happening? This guy is really intense behind me. It's just like the water fountain. When the light hits this particular area, oh my God, the spray of the fountain has shown me. It's just like that never happens in real life. But like these guys are walking around New York and Philadelphia, like talking about this shit out loud.
In New York, no one would have cared.
Well, that's true.
Because you know that scene from Gremlins 2, in which the bat gremlin goes out and flies at the person that he attacked in like the first movie, and he's sitting there getting attacked by the bat gremlin, and all the New Yorkers are just walking by them because they don't give a shit because they're New Yorkers.
That's New York. Yeah, that's true.
So all that fun stuff going on in New York, no one cares.
The biggest thing I remember about Gremlins 2 was the fucking bat gremlin flying in front of the moon and doing the Batman thing. Yeah, that was the one that I remember that.
Well, he also got thrown into the concrete and flew up to a church and solidified into a gargoyle.
That's right. And then the other thing I remember is the gargoyle turning into Crimsy from the Transformers fucking comic book where he was lightning gremlin.
It was lightning gremlin.
He could go through he was Shocker gremlin, whatever.
Yeah, he got lightning powers.
But we're not talking about Gremlins 2.
We should talk about Gremlins 2.
Hey, Nick.
I've seen that one.
Damn it. All right, well then...
I've seen Gremlins 1 as well.
Perhaps we should do an oldies but goodies or a worth a rewatch segment. But no, I would recommend it. It is big dumb fun. Turn off your fucking brain, smoke a doob, and maybe get like a 40 in you, and just sit back and have a good time with it.
And for those of us that do neither, just watch it with friends.
Sit in a room with a person that smokes a doob.
No, I don't want to do that either.
But yeah, just it was enjoyable. I do like me some Nic Cage. I can't think of a movie off the top of my head that I just really didn't like Nic Cage in. Like, I know there's some... I think he did one that's like Bring Out Your Dead, but I've never seen that one.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look through a bunch of his movies and see if I can remember any. But there's none that come immediately to the forefront where I'm like, I hated this movie. Now, there's going to be a lot that I look at and go, that's a bad movie.
Yes.
But it wouldn't necessarily stop my enjoyment of it because it's stupid. And sometimes stupid is fun.
Yeah.
If you get anything from us, we like stupid movies sometimes.
Yes. And I know we are all over the board with what we've been watching and what we've been asking each other to watch, because I know for a fact no one's going to be sitting in their computer in the next 6 months and being like,
what if Nick and Lance think a national treasure?
Yeah.
Let me look up National Treasure.
Let's find if there's any reviews for Grumpy Old Men. No one gives a shit about these movies, but it's stuff that we like.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that maybe you'll like it too.
Yeah, if you find us on one video, start going through our backlog, and see some other stuff you're like, I never would have watched that movie, and then find out what we think about it. And if your tastes align with ours, maybe find some hidden gems. Because I don't think Lance would have picked Sadako versus Kayako, but that one's pretty good.
Hell no, but I'm super happy you made me watch it, because it was pretty good. It just, man, talk about big dumb fun.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I need more of those movies. There needs to be a Sadako versus Kayako too. I think if I write them, they'll make it.
We could talk to Aaron. I'm sure he can give us a whole host of bad movies that we can watch. I think there's a movie called is it John Dies at the End or something?
I've not seen that one yet.
I watched it one time. Has Paul Giamatti in it. Which gave it extra credibility, because as soon as Aaron was like, have you seen this movie? I was like, no, and I'm never going to watch it because I know you watch really bad movies. And then I saw it had Paul Giamatti, and I was like, okay. And I watched it, and it had one of the funniest fucking scenes I've ever seen in a movie in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then the rest of it was okay.
It's one that's been on like my list to watch for a long time. There's a lot of stuff on my list to watch, and there's more movies and shows than there are time to watch them.
That's true. That is true. If you just watched movies and shows for the rest of your life, you'd still never get caught up.
No. And I mean, I've watched movies every day for a year, and I still had to throw in like just ones I want to see again, and I barely made a dent in movies.
Well, I would like us to eventually start going back and watching like movies that win like best film for like the Oscars and the Golden Globes.
I've seen best whatever movies, and most of the time I just don't like them.
Yeah, it's I want like the other.
I'm not an Oscar person.
Well, neither am I. Like, I remember there was a movie called Parasite that won like a bunch of Oscars.
I've not seen that one yet. It sounded like it was good.
I watched it. It was just okay. But then like you get to the end of the movie and you're like, what the fuck? Like it just, I don't know. Like it didn't, to me, it didn't seem like it deserved the acclaim that it got. But I also know that Eugene Levy said that if you want to win like an Oscar or a Golden Globe and stuff like that, like take the people that like do the judging out to lunch and buy them a nice lunch, and apparently that's enough to buy you.
So I've also heard that make a movie that seems smart but no one understands, and then tell them they'd be stupid to not understand it.
And give them an accent, or make them speak any other language other than English, and it seems like it wins. But like, I remember Citizen Kane was one of those ones where everyone's like, "You've got to see this movie," and I watched it, and I was like, "What the fuck are people talking about?" Like, it was okay. Either I'm too stupid to appreciate it, or
its concepts have just been redone over and over. So it's to the point where it's not original anymore. Like I went back and watched Blade Runner, and at the time, I'm sure it was amazing. But I've watched cyberpunk style movies, and I've played cyberpunk style games.
It's been done to death.
That stuff's not new to me.
Yeah.
So it being new in Blade Runner is not an impression on me anymore. It's like, oh, what if this person was a robot? It's like I've done all kinds of them movies now at this point in time. That's not a new concept to me. And then you have to fall back on just the rest of the movie and being like, I'm bored. You're showing me stuff I've seen before. And it's not your fault. You came out like in the 70s or 80s when it was new and innovative.
And it's pretty.
It's pretty.
Like I remember when they made Blade Runner 2, I was fucking excited to go see it. And like the movie was very pretty, but fuck, it was boring. I remember there was one part in that movie where they were flying through the city for like 10 minutes, and I was like, and then after 3 minutes, I was like, get on with it. Like it was a bit much, but man, it was pretty. But I don't really have much more to say.
So, I think me neither. National Treasure. I think we can put a bow on this one.
Are you going to make me watch part 2?
No, I don't think I remember part 2. I might have seen it. I don't remember that one.
Okay, we need to look and see what the rating is on it, because like if like the second movie got higher than the first movie, I might just go ahead and watch it for shits and giggles.
You can watch it if you want. I it's not one I remember and quite like this one. Or this one is like a stupid fun movie that I'll throw on sometimes.
We're stealing the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, it's partially for that thing. Just the scene where it's looking at the Declaration of Independence and like, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence, and you're like, yeah, do it, get it, Nic Cage. Tell me how you're going to steal that Declaration of Independence.
Oh, I'm just going to walk in and take it. But, okay, sure.
And then he just walks in and takes it.
And then they somehow they made a tensiony scene out of him unscrewing screws.
Yeah, it's kind of
you gotta hurry, and you're just like, oh god, there's so many screws.
Ian's coming. It's like I'm just gonna take it out, and it's bulletproof. Like they even set that up earlier.
Yeah,
like it's behind bulletproof glass, and then he shoots at it. And I'm like, oh, that's great. They set that up earlier.
I just want to take the Declaration of Independence, not the case. You know how much this case is worth.
All right, so National Treasure. Ta-da.
Yes.
Which means now it's your turn. What do I got?
You want to go old school or do you want to go new school?
Old school's fine.
Okay.
I guess it depends on how we're old.
Yeah.
So old school for us or old school just in general?
So I guess we're just going to school.
No, going to school.
Okay. Oh, I know what I can. So Hey Nick.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Run Lola Run?
I have not, and I think that's one that I've heard the name of before, and like that's it. I know nothing else about this movie.
I'm not gonna say a word. Just watch it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
Or maybe not. I guess we'll find out next video.
Guess we'll find out next week on Have You Seen?
Yeah, so just to let y'all know, we're going to be working on trying to get a St. Patrick's Day video. So there'll be a double release probably around St. Patrick's Day.
When is St. Patrick's Day?
Soon. I think it's in like 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll have to get on that. Watch some sort of Leprechaun movie, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm bringing this up is if you want to say down in the comments what you think is a good like St. Patrick's Day movie.
Please save me from Leprechaun.
Well, I mean, I think we're doomed with Leprechaun because there's nothing else I could think of off the top of my head. Like maybe Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
I've never heard of that movie.
It's one I used to love a lot when I was a kid, but then I watched it as an adult and I went, I think I just like the Little People. But the reason I was saying this early is because we also want to do an Easter movie, and then it occurred to me, I don't know any Easter movies either, and we don't want to do like Passion of the Christ or anything because I don't think that qualifies.
No, it's what my suggestion for Easter movies is just zombie movies in general.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Give us holiday movies. Is there a cool Arbor Day movie? Put that in the comments.
Arbor Day, is that Tree Day?
Yeah. You know what we're watching for Arbor Day?
What?
The Happening.
What's going on?
Them trees.
The wind. That grass just grabbed my tree. What's going on here, bro?
Tell me that's not a good Arbor Day movie.
I can't argue with you. That actually is a really good Arbor Day movie. But like, okay, is that like an official holiday?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Is it just like?
I don't even know what Arbor Day is.
Yeah, neither do I. Okay, well, like drop some stuff down in the comments and give us some suggestions and give to the Patreon, even though it still doesn't exist because I think my wife and me and Nick watch these movies, and that's about it. So
I don't have to give myself money. I already have my money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could donate, but I just don't want to like give pennies on the dollar to Patreon just so I can get back like.
So I don't want to take my dollar and give myself like 90 cents.
Yeah, that would suck. Yeah. But yeah, no. Watch some of the other stuff.
Like, comment.
Yeah, subscribe.
Tell us what you think of other dumb fun movies. Is there some other good ones that we're missing?
What's your favorite dumb fun movie where they steal the Declaration of Independence? What's your favorite Nic Cage movie?
I've got to steal the Abraham Monument, the Lincoln Monument.
And they show up and like Lincoln's missing out of the chair. It's just Nic Cage sitting in it.
Is he big to fit?
No, he's very tiny. Okay. He's just sitting there in the chair. But sorry, I don't know why.
So, favorite Nic Cage movie? Other dumb fun movies. Give us some holiday movies. Things that you're like, man, this could work for this holiday that's upcoming. Give us up to like July. Give us some good stuff to think of for upcoming. Or just go all the way and go all the way to December.
Y'all suggest some shit. Like there are movies that I love that I've forgotten about.
Yeah, ask us if we've seen movies.
Yeah, and we will watch them and lie to you and say yes, and then we'll watch them and then be like, yeah, I'm old school with that shit.
No, we've been going back and forth with each other. I mean, the eventual idea is maybe to occasionally throw it to you guys.
Yeah.
Let you propose movies to us, and the ones that at least maybe one of us or both of us haven't seen.
Yeah, and we're also starting off a new series. Did you want to tell them what it was called?
Oh, it was Old Cool or News Cool.
Yes.
It's like old apostrophe S cool.
And what's our format?
We're gonna compare an old movie to either a remake or an adaptation of it. You just kind of see like which one do we think is cool? Is the old cool? Is the new cool? Are both cool? Are neither cool?
What's cool about one that could have been cool in the other. So, and I think the first movie we're doing for that, I'm not even going to play like we're like, like pondering what we're going to do because literally we're about to do the video and we're going to be wearing the same fucking clothes. So
yes, and my Ren shirt.
Yeah. We're going to be doing Let the Right One In and Let Me In.
So I wonder if I think this will come up before that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So So stay tuned for that. We've got new formats coming, new ideas churning around in our dumb little brains.
Yeah, we're not hooking you now. You're watching this because you're our friends and you feel like there's some form of obligation where you have to watch these. But we're trying to come up with new ideas. So eventually, we're gonna fucking get you.
Someone's gonna come.
Yeah.
We're gonna get someone by the balls.
Somebody.
By the short hairs.
And that person's gonna grab somebody else by the balls. Then it's gonna start a gigantic circle jerk. I got way off base on that.
All
Anyways.
Right. So I've been Nick.
I've been Lance.
Join us next time for Run Lola Run.
See ya.
Bye.